The Subcommittee of Economic Growth, Energy Policy, and Regulatory Affairs will come to order. I want to welcome everyone. I want to apologize for being a bit tardy. Without objection, the Chair may declare recess at any time. I recognize myself for the purpose of making an opening statement. Today, we will examine the Department of Energy's proposed rulemaking on home appliances, a tidal wave of regulatory burdens affecting Americans' daily lives. This slate of rules includes the controversial Consumer Convention Cooking Products Rule, which imposes stricter requirements on gas stoves, but it doesn't stop there, unfortunately. There are other rulemaking under consideration for dishwashers, refrigerators, water heaters, furnaces, air conditioners, and other household appliances under the guise of improving energy efficiency as prescribed by the Environmental Policy and Conservation Act, or EPCA. In May, this committee invited DOE officials to discuss a gas stove rule, which would impact 40% of American households, but the department refused to make witnesses available. Instead, the subcommittee heard valuable insight from non-governmental witnesses that the gas stove rule is not a sincere attempt to improve efficiency. Today, the hearing follows over 2 months of correspondence between the committee and the DOE, requesting the department testify on these opaque and burdensome rulemakings. God bless you. During the subcommittee's hearings last month regarding EPA emissions rules, my colleagues on the other side of the aisle expressed annoyance that we're repeating hearing topics. I'm here to say that we wholeheartedly agree. As I said last month, and I'll say it again now, if the administration cared about transparency, they would appear before this committee when requested, and this committee would not have to duplicate hearing topics. We do have a lot to talk about in the next year or two, and we'd like to move on as well. And we're glad the department finally showed up to answer questions about the burdensome rules that they want to impose on our constituents. The gas stove rule in particular presents alarming violations of EPCA and erroneous analysis according to the experts who testified in place of invited departmental officials. The department relied on uncited court-supervised consent decree and dubiously citings to the law as grounds for refusing to testify at earlier hearings. We saw this rationale on full display from Democrats who claimed the department's rule is, quote, required actually by law, unquote, which is not accurate. We also heard the Democrats say that gas stoves create an unsafe indoor air quality environment and may be linked to childhood asthma, ignoring peer-reviewed research suggesting that there is no causal relationship between the use of gas indoor cooking appliances and asthma. I am adding this research submitted to the American Gas Association, submitted by the American Gas Association to the hearing record, and without objection, so ordered. In defending their position, the department and Democrats appear to be endorsing the sue and settle type of practices of radical activist litigants, a practice which allows special interest groups to achieve regulatory goals by forcing agencies to implement policies in response to litigation by friendly organizations that occurs in secret to bypass the legislative and regulatory processes. On September 20th, 2022, Natural Resources Defense Council, the Center for Biological Diversity, and other liberal groups settled a lawsuit against the department to update, quote-unquote, overdue energy efficiency standards for 20 categories of consumer and commercial appliances and equipment, including gas stoves. This settlement accelerated the Biden administration's 100-plus actions on energy efficiency standards, avoiding EPA requirements, which now cover a whole host of household items Americans use every day. Many of the rules result in hundreds of millions in costs to manufacturers, costs which will ultimately be passed on to none other than our constituents, the American consumer. The DOE, however, will argue that the savings, of say 12 cents a month or $1.50 per year is more than enough reason to reconfigure the entire gas stove industry. If that doesn't seem like much, well, you can sleep easy knowing that getting rid of your gas stove is saving the planet from climate change. And, come on. We all know that these rules are a solution in search of a problem. America is a global leader in technology and technological advancements in energy efficiency, regardless of the fuel source. And as I've said on many occasions, we have reduced our carbon footprint by over 20% in the last 20-plus years, where China has increased their carbon footprint by 300%. The United States is not a planet. We're sharing a planet with another 192 other countries. There are plenty of reasons to be concerned about the coordinated efforts between radical environmental activists and subsequent agency rulemakings that stand to impact even the smallest aspect of our daily lives. If an agency is going to propose rules that stand to upend the entire sectors, like the appliance industry, then they should be ready to answer questions about them. And that's why we're here today. I want to thank our witness for appearing before the committee today, and I yield to Ranking Member Bush for her opening statement.